Hey guys! So, I finished Arkham Origins about a week ago actually, and what a great week it was, but still, I just needed to share what a disappointment Arkham Origins is. Actually, I wanted to make a full video about it, where I go through the plot and the gameplay, but then I realized that it's pointless. We all knew what the plot was before release, and what do you think happens? Batman dies in the origin story? Still, there will be some spoilers if anyone cares. But first, I have to admit, I'm totally prejudiced against this game. I went in ready to like it, and even now I'm still trying to find excuses for all its problems, because I love Batman. I grew up watching Tim Burton's movies with Michael Keaton. Batman Returns on SNES was the first game I've ever finished in my life. Arkham Asylum just blew my mind when it came out, and I love Arkham City as well. But Origins... Oh god, I guess I should start with the fact that the game was created by a newly opened studio, so the pressure of making the game in such a high quality, fan-loved franchise must have been a bit too much pressure as their first project. Fanboys will get pissed at you regardless, they will find a reason, so the devs were pretty much doomed from the beginning, and their only option was to minimize the impact. That, to be honest, they succeeded to do, in some ways at least. But that's just my guess about the game's design philosophy. So, keeping all that in mind, let's get to it. Batman Arkham Origins is essentially Arkham City, but a bit tidier with new supervillains to play with, which is not necessarily bad. I mean, it is definitely not an expansion pack, it provides much more content than that, but the same old playground all over again is the first letdown that nails that thought into your brain that the game is immediately not as good as its predecessors. Nothing new and exciting appeared in the gameplay as well. It's the same old Batman formula, and it is good, and it works. And, yeah, almost nothing new. There are a couple of things though, and I do mean a couple, like two new things. The first one is the detective mode that is ought to make you think that Batman is the world's greatest detective. And I say bollocks to that, according to what I saw in Origins. Batman is nearly a camera on legs that allows his computer to solve crimes for him. The detective mode requires no thought at all, no involvement from you. At all! Just scan all the evidence and go beat up the suspect. It's pointless. Finding Riddler's question marks in Arkham Asylum was more thought-provoking than that. The second new thing is the boss fights that were a great freaking disappointment, except for the second one maybe with the Electrocutioner. The first one, Killer Croc, was just dull. Beating him up is the same as beating up any other armored enemy in the game, so it can be barely counted as the boss fight at all. Then we get the Electrocutioner that you defeat in one kick to the face, which was quite unexpected and funny to be honest. But the Deathstroke boss fight is essentially a freaking QTE. Just right click when the bastard gets an idea to hit you and you win. The lightnings that signal an incoming attack look especially comical here, like a fucking cartoony idea bubbles with little light bulbs inside them. Anarchy was merely a boss fight as well, which is understandable considering he's just a kid. Then the Mad Hatter was a mere glance of awesomeness that was Scarecrow in Asylum. Then Copperhead, that was a bit more exciting than Deathstroke, just because of the fact that there were a lot of her and only one of Deathstroke. But it is also a QTE, and QTEs are boring. They are the lowest form of gameplay imaginable, just press buttons when you're told to. Are you fucking kidding me? It brings a player down to a level of lab mice, so leave that shit to scientists to experiment with and take it out of my games. The boss fight with Deadshot was painfully idiotic. See, you gotta stun him and then beat him up. But there is a point when he just runs to a hostage to grab him. Any other time your stun works perfectly, but not at this time, because you know, reasons. I failed couple of times before I just realized that I have to allow him to grab the hostage so the boss fight could continue, since, you know, it makes fucking sense within the world, Batman just giving hostages to criminals. Bane boss fight was just a clusterfuck for me, and I get to that later. A fight with Shiva had no difference from any other fight with just normal thugs. Firefly was dodging and throwing stuff at him, and then we get to the same fight with Bane that we got before, and Super Bane that should not even be in the game for plot reasons. Overall, they are boring. Bosses in Origins only make you yawn. They're not exciting and fearful, they're dull. Maybe it's because they're also just getting started, like Batman himself. Riddler, for instance, doesn't even show up personally. Yeah, and his riddles fucking suck. Some of the data packs are just lying there in the open. How lazy is that? Yeah, and I almost forgot about the third new thing that Origins brings to the franchise. Bugs. And to be honest, I didn't experience a whole lot of them. Just a couple of crashes here and there that didn't affect me all that much, thanks to the saving system. But they totally ruined the first Bane fight and the Deadshot fight for me. If I got too close to the walls in these fights, I just fell through the freaking textures. I trapped Deadshot in a parallel dimension. That must have solved the problem with him forever. Such bullshit never happened to me in other Arkham games before. In fact, I viewed the series as one of the best running and optimized games ever made. But it changed with Origins, so thanks a lot. I'll think twice before buying your next game on release.
Your technique is predictable.
And finally, the ending. It is so contrived and token, where do I even start? So, Bane of all people discovers Batman's true identity, and I may be wrong here, cause I suck at Batman's lore, but I always thought that Bane is not the sharpest tool in the box. I would rather believe that Joker or Penguin would find out who Batman really is. But whatever, let's just accept it. But now we've got a problem of making Bane somehow forget the fact that Batman is Bruce Wayne. And the best way to do it, writers thought, is to make up some bullshit. Bane apparently has a chemical that makes you really strong but really dumb, resulting in memory loss. So when Batman beats him up the second time, Bane uses that thing for no reason at all. He knows how bad it is and what it makes of you. He wants to overcome his addiction to Venom, but still he fucking injects that thing into himself. Why didn't he do it? Why didn't he inject it into Batman? That would make much more sense. I don't even have to explain anything here, it's just pure nonsense. And I mean, the plot was okay up until this point. The first meeting with the Joker and the Joker in general is pretty entertaining. The idea that he's in love with Batman is pretty interesting and presented in a believable way. But the whole part with Bane is totally out of place. I personally don't even like Bane. He's not interesting, just a whole load of muscle, and that's it. Again, I can be wrong since I've never read the comics, but that is what he appears to be. Overall, I still can't say that the game is bad. It is good. I spent more than 20 hours playing it. Just in comparison with other games in the series, it is disappointing. It is not as good and doesn't have the same impact other Arkham games had. Let's just hope that the next installment made by the original devs will bring the franchise to the same heights it was before. Oh, and almost forgot, multiplayer has been added to Origins that I personally don't give two shits about. The name is GrrrVahrrr, and I shall see you from within my next video. And thank you for watching.
That is funny. Good one, Bats! This is going to be fun!